not fucking home and away. G'day everyone, welcome back to Beers and Bikes. We've just legged it down from Brisbane in the pouring rain down here to Gloucester to my best mate Webby's place. Webby's a great lad. Met Webby in Beijing. Met Webby about 15 years ago in Beijing. Involved in a rugby club together called the Beijing Devils. Cheers boys. From there we formed a friendship through rugby and motorcycles. We found out we both rode motorcycles and we both had Harleys in Beijing, and we've ridden through China, the US, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore together, and Australia, and we hope to do many more journeys. So, long story short, we're just great mates, and it's great to catch up with him here at his farm. Webby's been overseas for about 20 years. So Webby, what got you into motorbikes, mate?
Well, I could probably blame my parents for that. I grew up in a rural environment, a plot of land here at Gloucester. So my family had been in this region since the 1800s. A lot of my family are based up in Moundock, which is halfway between Gloucester and Walker, and we had a plot of land as a young kid, and my father bought me a MX-80. Small 80cc motorcycle back when I was about 8 or 9 years old that I used to share with my brother, and I think once I took the first ride on that bike I was hooked.
So whatever happened to that bike, mate?
I have no idea.
Rode it to death?
We crashed it plenty of times, so it's probably got plenty of dings in it. But I think I maybe got traded in on something with four wheels a couple of years later, and well, I hope it's still riding somewhere and giving as much enjoyment as it did to me and my brother when we were little tackers.
So you MX, what did you go to from your MX?
Oh, MX, then I was off two wheels for a while, so I spent a fair bit of time getting educated in the big smoke. And it probably wasn't until I was about 18 before I got a Suzuki Cross, which was a bizarre bike that the fuel tank was not in a traditional place, and the fuel tank actually just had a little glove compartment where you put your helmet, and I had that as a learner, and it was after that I then spent a lot of time and a lot of years riding Yamaha R6s. I think I had about 5 of those in different iterations as they passed through the years, with the last one being in about 2003 or 4. Which is a fantastic bike. Very fast, very light, great handling, but obviously a bike for a younger frame, a younger person with a lot more adrenaline than what I am now. After that, a couple of years off from riding because it's when I moved abroad, but picked up my first Harley Davidson, which was a 2000 FXDX. A Super Glide Sport, which I bought in China, which I think was the bike I was riding when I met you.
Yeah, a nice bike too.
I'm now riding a brand new 2021 FXLRS, which will be my 5th bike since I've had in that 15 or so years.
Yeah.
But love it. But not restricted to cruises. Also ride some off-road stuff as well, which I love doing. Just depending on the Harley. Not a lot of dirt roads suitable for a lot of those bikes, but I have an off-road bike which I take out on a lot of dirt roads, which around Gloucester here, we've got a lot of dirt roads, and they're great to be out and about on.
Yeah. So we had a lot of great rides in Beijing, and a couple of our really memorable rides were riding along the Great Wall and
Oh, some fantastic rides in there. To think that you can go out from Beijing within about 30 minutes, be in the countryside, um, dodging three-wheeled trucks and
Tuk-tuks
and dogs and
donkeys,
everything, and then within an hour of being out of city, you're riding along the Great Wall of China, either on your left or your right through these valleys. It was just a fascinating experience to be able to go out to such a historic monument, and see different parts of it as well. I mean, that was the great thing about riding off into Beijing or in nearby province of Hebei is that you get so much great scenery, and with so much history. I think that thing is thousands of years old, and here we were just whizzing around with hardly any cars on the roads, great infrastructure. It was an experience, that's for sure.
And we had some really memorable rides, and I think one of the best rides we've ever had is from Phuket to Canterbury for Anzac Day up to Hellfire Pass.
Yeah.
That was a memorable week.
Yeah, that's for sure.
A lot of fun, a lot of good riding, a lot of beers. Seen a lot of things we've never seen in our life, like monkeys hanging off the back of coconut trucks and different things like that.
Fantastic ride, that one. And the great thing about that is such a large motorcycle community involved with that particular event. I mean, we did obviously the Phuket to Canterbury, but the amount of people that come across from Bangkok and Pattaya and up from Hua Hin to get into that, well, I was going to say festival, but it's a remembrance weekend. And just see the amount of people are involved from the motorcycle community to come into that one little town to celebrate the history of what that represents, and the Hellfire Pass, just quite an emotional experience to be up there at dawn.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, fantastic.
If I remember rightly, I think on that first Anzac trip that we did, at the memorial in town, there were 600 bikes.
Right.
From Brits, Canadians, Aussies, Dutch, Thais. There was, everybody was there. And then afterwards, after the memorial, the whole town just turned into a big barbecue.
It is just a massive party. Just close off the streets and open up all the bars. And awesome experience.
But other than that, you've had some pretty awesome experiences on your own riding, and one of them was Sri Lanka.
Yeah, a whole bunch of rides that I just do by myself. I find that it's a great thing about motorcycling. I mean, so much of the time you're on the bike, you're by yourself, but I like to extend that a little bit beyond the time on the bike and experience a lot of stuff alone. I did 27 days in Sri Lanka on a Honda dirt bike. I just, with no plan, I basically flew into Colombo, didn't go into the actual city. I found a guy that was renting out bikes. I picked up a 350cc Honda Baja, I think it was called, and strapped on, luckily, a waterproof bag because it rained pretty much for the entire month I was there, and just headed off into the mountains. A lot of just great experience. Getting around tea plantations and the beaches in Sri Lanka. Got chased by an elephant in one of the national parks, which is a frightening but exhilarating experience. The amount of wildlife that's there in Sri Lanka, that just roaming wildly, is fascinating. Great spot, great people, awesome food. Bizarrely, the community love anyone that comes in on a motorbike, and obviously a lot of tattoos. They love the tattoos. A lot of people would just come up to you and sort of comment on them, or sort of give you a thumbs up and sort of stuff. Amazing, hospitable people, and thoroughly recommend a ride to anybody who wants to go somewhere off the beaten track. Used to go to Sri Lanka. Absolute great time.
If you remember, maybe the last time that we went to Canterbury for Anzac Day, we had two old diggers. One was about 80, 89, the other one was 96. And his parting words in his speech, he said, "This is my last Remembrance Day, Anzac Day that I can make. because of my health. And he goes, I just want all you young people to come back and remember what we did and have a good time while we're here. So we do try and honour that, and
for sure.
Yeah, love that trip. That's a great trip. So
yeah, it's not too many. I mean, there's not too many things that make me emotional. I'm pretty cold-hearted some of the bitch, but I think you sort of you get up there and see old fellas like that and what they'd experienced in that part of the world. Mate, your heart melts. You know, and to hear a comment like that is I don't know, and to say, oh look, you guys should need to come back as much as possible to honour this memory. You know, there's an invitation right there. This is something that a lot of you should do if you have the opportunity to go and experience that. It's one of the best rides. Unbelievable climate. Obviously, Thai people are super hospitable, and the aspect of the remembrance of that event is really mind-blowing. It's fantastic.
And as you remember, the memorial is pristine, well kept. And as you walk through afterwards and you look at the headstones and you see 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 32, 36. They're all young men in the prime of their life with a life ahead of them. So, you know, we have a lot to thank them for.
Yeah, I think one of the things that struck me, which was obviously an ignorance on my part, is just the knowledge now of the different countries who were involved in the campaign there.
Yeah.
So you had Aussies next to Kiwis, next to Dutch, next to Canadians, that all fought together in that part of the world. It's a great spot, memorable experience.
And one of the things I really like is they get the school kids out in the school uniforms, and all the soldiers from all the embassies in Thailand attend that, and we have the Aussies and Kiwis who do the Covet. But the school children, as you walk into the entrance of the memorial, give you a paddle pop stick with a poppy on it to go stick on a grave, which is pretty humbling, and you know, it makes you stand back and think. But yeah, awesome. Well, you know, you and I, we're now waiting for the rain to finish, and end of next April we're heading north back up the Gulf and going to do that trip that we didn't get to do. But you know, we rode through the US together. Where is your ultimate trip? What is your ultimate
look,
trip?
It's so many, you know, and each one has different highlights. I mean, that US trip doing the California coast was amazing. We hired a couple of late '90s models, Fat Boys, and rode down that Pacific Coast Highway. Great time. The Sri Lanka trip was obviously amazing. I did a trip around the Scottish Highlands on an old Royal Enfield, which was a spectacular ride. It rained pretty much every day in the middle of the Scottish summer, which was like an Australian winter, but still great scenery. Of course, we've done a lot of riding in Thailand. That was fantastic. I'm hoping that the best experiences are yet to come. We've got all these planned rides around Australia, starting with North Queensland next year. But you know, some great riding roads anywhere between the coast and the Great Divide. Up and down the coast of Australia is going to be amazing. Tasmania, we're going to do that as well.
We're going to do the Territory, we'll do the SA, we're going to do all of it.
Yeah, well, it's a big country, mate. We've got plenty of years before we can't ride.
But there is a ride that you've forgotten. That was pretty special. The AC/DC ride.
Oh, actually, wow, yeah.
That was so, you know, we went to AC/DC at Giant Stadium in San Francisco, with a good bunch of lads. There was you, me, Sammy C, Cam.
Yeah, we were. I remember that ride was a day ride up through the Napa Valley, back through Russian River, down the coastline north of San Francisco,
Stinson's Beach.
And
Arnie.
it was one of the times I've never felt more hungover than anything after that concert.
It was a pretty tough day.
We found a bar that had Moscow mules on tap.
Yeah.
And we went in there and ordered like 16 at a time.
Yeah.
And they'd come out with these trays of these copper mugs full of ginger beer and vodka. And that was a tough day. I think I was still feeling hungover by the time we ended up with that full day of ride. Fantastic.
Well, remember we stopped for lunch, and over the vineyards was Mustangs chasing Messerschmitts. They were filming a World War II movie, and that was probably the highlight of the day because all of us were pretty hurt.
Yeah.
But seeing those planes, that was a highlight.
Yeah.
But yeah, that night was you disappeared, and we went out for a few more drinks. And then the next day when we went to Chinese for lunch, I was done.
Our times in San Francisco, which there were numerous, for all manner of excuses to go. Great spot. Yeah. I'm glad you lived there actually, because it gave me an excuse to go and visit. It's such a good spot.
And when we went up to
There's a Canto coming up.
No, you're not Canto.
No, I'm down here.
Up to that. Remember that? Wasn't Applejacks? No, April's.
Thank you.
So, remember when...
wildlife.
The little wheels are spinning, cogs are turning. You know me, I like to do this in one take. One take acting.
Oh, I hope so.
I'm fucking aiming away.